All right, welcome to the flight deck. Today, we're doing a different kind of briefing. We're going to take a look at something I've been tracking on the long-range forecast, a potential fuel crisis. You know, my job is to get you where you need to go safely, and that always starts with understanding the big picture. So let's dive right in.
Now, this isn't just a little bit of turbulence we're talking about. That's a direct quote from the head of the International Energy Agency. When you hear a number like 6 weeks of jet fuel, well, that gets everyone's attention. From the corporate office right down to the flight line. That, my friends, is a serious warning flare.
And look, this isn't some abstract headline about energy markets that you can just scroll past. This issue has a direct flight path to your departure gate and, yeah, your vacation plans. So the real question is, what does this warning actually mean for your summer travels?
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of what might happen at the airport, we need to climb up to cruising altitude and get the view from 30,000 feet. You have to understand the scope of the problem first.
The whole situation really kicks off right here, at a major geopolitical choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. Think of it like a critical artery for the world's energy supply. And any disruption there, well, it doesn't just stay in the Middle East. It creates these massive ripples that travel across the entire globe, affecting pretty much everything that moves. And those ripples, they spread in a pretty predictable chain reaction. Asian countries, since they're the most reliant on that specific supply route, they feel the squeeze first. Then that wave hits Europe, and finally it reaches us over here in the Americas. It's a sequence we watch very, very closely in airline operations.
Now, I know hearing all this might sound a little alarming, but I want to reassure you, we've dealt with this kind of turbulence before. Airlines have a well-rehearsed crisis playbook for exactly these kinds of situations. It's what we do.
Believe it or not, the fundamentals of our playbook were actually written way back in the 70s during the last big energy crisis. It all boils down to 3 core ideas we still use every single day. First, we optimize the route. We hunt for tailwinds. We avoid headwinds. Second, we find the most efficient altitude, kind of like the sweet spot for that specific plan and weight. And third, we make sure the most fuel-efficient aircraft is flying the mission. This is a constant, dynamic puzzle we're always solving.
And this brings up a really key point. In a crisis, our whole timescale shifts. Normally, schedules are planned months out, but when things get tight, the operations center switches to a day-by-day mindset. We're not making decisions for next month. We're deciding what we can fly tomorrow based on the fuel reports we're getting right now.
So if cancellations are on the horizon, where do they start? Well, it's a matter of simple logistics and, economics. It's just way more cost-effective to send a massive fuel truck to a huge hub like Heathrow that services hundreds of flights than it is to send one to a smaller regional airport with just a few. So, yeah, unfortunately, those less profitable routes to smaller cities, those are usually the first to get trimmed from the schedule.
Okay, let's bring it back down to the terminal. Now that you know a little bit about what's happening behind the curtain, I can give you the pilot's eye for spotting trouble, before it becomes a huge headache for your trip.
Here's the thing you have to remember. Airlines are going to be very, very reluctant to publicly say the words fuel shortage. So what's the first internal signal, the canary in the coal mine, that you, as a traveler, might actually see right there on the departure board?
Here's exactly what to look for. First, you'll see a slow, kind of creeping increase in cancellations. Not a giant wave all at once, but maybe a few today, a few more tomorrow. And critically, the reason they give won't be something obvious like a big storm or a labor strike everyone's heard about. If you start seeing a growing number of flights canceled for vague, operational reasons, day after day, that's your sign that something bigger, something systemic is going on.
All right, let's bring this all in for a landing. We've looked at the problem from 30,000 feet, we've gone through the playbook, so what's the final forecast for this summer's peak travel season?
When you boil it all down, we're really looking at 2 possible flight paths from here. In the worst-case scenario, if this whole geopolitical situation doesn't get resolved, we're going to see exactly what we've been talking about: fewer flights on the departure board and, of course, higher prices for the seats that are left. Now, the best case? A solution is found, the supply chain stabilizes, and it's pretty much business as usual.
But I really want to leave you with this one crucial point. Even in a worst-case scenario, our #1 objective is passenger care. A flight might get canceled, yes, but the whole system is built on cooperation. Airlines will work together, they'll rebook you, they'll do what it takes to get you where you need to go. The network is actually incredibly resilient. So, there you have it. That's the view from the flight deck on this whole developing situation. You know what's causing it, you know the airline's playbook, and now you know what to watch for. So, the final question really is for you. Knowing all this, are you rethinking your travel plans?